Introduction. Joseph Nguyens. Don't believe. Everything you think is a profound exploration of the mind's role in shaping our reality and how our thoughts often become the primary source of our suffering. The book challenges conventional wisdom by demonstrating that many of our beliefs, perceptions, and self-imposed limitations are not reflections of absolute truth, but merely the result of habitual thinking patterns. Nguyen argues that true happiness and peace come from transcending our thoughts rather than trying to control or change them. This book serves as a guide to freeing ourselves from mental constraints, allowing us to experience life more fully and authentically. Through a blend of psychology, philosophy, and spirituality, Nguyen helps readers understand the nature of thought, the illusions it creates, and how to detach from its grip. Chapter 1. The Root of All Suffering: Believing Our Thoughts. Nguyen begins the book by addressing a fundamental truth. Most human suffering stems from the belief in our thoughts. He argues that thoughts by themselves are neutral. However, when we identify with them and believe them to be absolute reality, we give them power over our emotions and actions. Many of our thoughts are conditioned by past experiences, societal norms, and fears. They create narratives that influence how we see ourselves and the world. These narratives can be limiting, keeping us trapped in cycles of anxiety, self-doubt, and dissatisfaction. A key insight from this chapter is that just because we think something does not make it true, learning to question our thoughts and recognize their transient nature is the first step toward inner freedom. Chapter 2. The Illusion of Control. Why trying to change your thoughts doesn't work. One of the biggest misconceptions in self-improvement is the belief that we must change or control our thoughts to achieve happiness. Nguyen dismantles this notion by explaining that thoughts arise spontaneously. They are not entirely within our control. When we attempt to suppress or replace negative thoughts with positive ones, we often create inner conflict. This struggle can lead to frustration and reinforce the negative thoughts instead of eliminating them. Instead of resisting thoughts, Nguyen suggests observing them without attachment. When we stop fighting our thoughts and let them pass like clouds in the sky, they lose their power over us. Chapter 3. The True Source of Happiness: Beyond Thinking. Most people believe that happiness comes from external achievements, relationships, or changing their circumstances. However, Nguyen argues that true happiness is an internal state of being that is not dependent on external factors. Our thoughts often create illusions that prevent us from experiencing this inherent happiness. When we get caught up in overthinking, we disconnect from the present moment where peace naturally exists. The key takeaway from this chapter is that happiness is not something we find. It is something we uncover by letting go of unnecessary thoughts and mental noise. Chapter 4. How Your Mind Creates Reality. Nguyen explains that our perception of reality is shaped by our thoughts and beliefs. The way we interpret events determines how we feel about them. For example, if someone cuts us off in traffic, we can either assume they are rude and feel angry, or we can consider that they might be rushing to an emergency and feel compassion. The event itself is neutral. Our interpretation gives it meaning. By becoming aware of how our thoughts shape our emotions, we gain the ability to shift our perspective and create a more positive experience of life. Chapter 5. The Difference Between Thinking and Awareness. A crucial concept in the book is the distinction between thinking and awareness. Thinking is the continuous stream of thoughts running through our minds. Awareness is the ability to observe these thoughts without getting caught up in them. Nguyen emphasizes that we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness behind them. When we cultivate awareness, we create space between ourselves and our thoughts, which allows us to respond to situations more wisely rather than react impulsively. Chapter 6. The Power of Letting Go. Letting go is a central theme in Don't Believe Everything You Think. Many of our struggles come from holding on to painful memories, grudges, fears, and limiting beliefs. Nguyen encourages readers to release attachments to thoughts and emotions that no longer serve them. This doesn't mean ignoring problems, but rather accepting things as they are, without unnecessary resistance. When we stop clinging to certain narratives, we open ourselves to greater peace and clarity. Yes, Chapter 7. The problem with seeking happiness outside yourself. Society teaches us that happiness comes from external achievements, money, relationships, success, or approval from others. However, Nguyen warns that chasing happiness externally often leads to disappointment and a never-ending cycle of wanting more. True happiness comes from within. It is already present when we stop searching for it in the wrong places. The key is to detach from the illusion that something outside of us will complete us. Chapter 8. How Fear and Anxiety Are Created by Thought. Fear and anxiety are not caused by external events, but by our interpretation of those events. Our minds project worst-case scenarios, making us feel anxious about things that haven't even happened. Nguyen suggests that instead of trying to eliminate fear, we should recognize that it is simply a product of thought. By observing our fears without attaching to them, we take away their power. When we stop believing fearful thoughts, anxiety naturally diminishes. Chapter 9. The Secret to Mental Freedom. True mental freedom comes from understanding that we are not our thoughts. Nguyen explains that the secret to a peaceful mind is non-attachment to thinking. By recognizing that thoughts are just passing mental events rather than ultimate truths, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. This shift in perspective allows us to live more fully in the present moment and embrace life with openness and ease. Chapter 10. Practical Steps to Living with a Clear Mind. Nguyen provides practical exercises to help readers cultivate a clear and peaceful mind. 1. Practice mindfulness. Spend time observing your thoughts without judgment. 2. Detach from negative thoughts. Recognize that they are not inherently true. 3. Stay present. Focus on what is happening now, rather than worrying about the past or future. 4. Let go of control. Accept that thoughts come and go. Trying to control them only creates more struggle. 5. Embrace inner stillness. Spend time in silence, meditation, or nature to connect with a deeper sense of peace. Conclusion: Living Beyond Thought. Joseph Nguyens. Don't believe. Everything you think is a powerful reminder that our thoughts are not absolute reality. When we stop believing every thought that arises, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and unlock a deeper sense of happiness, peace, and clarity. By shifting from overthinking to awareness, we can experience life more fully and authentically. The path to inner freedom is not about controlling thoughts, but about recognizing that we are already free when we stop identifying with them. The book ultimately teaches that the mind is a tool, but we are not meant to be enslaved by it. True liberation comes from understanding that we are the awareness behind our thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this summary helpful and want to dive deeper into more transformative books, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join our community of lifelong learners and stay updated on our latest book summaries and insights. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. What principle from this book resonated with you the most? I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep reading and keep growing.